Let's listen to this land doctor. We do now have copyright to the audio.
Been noted and made by notable sociologists and public intellectuals. But this threefold distinction of the three kinds of people, it was first identified and first stated by the supporters and founders of democracy in ancient Greece. For the Greek people, the people who in many ways gave us the modern civilized world, for the Greek people, the first kind of people in any given society are the idiots. For the Greeks, the idiot is not necessarily someone who is mentally deficient. Rather, for ancient Greek people, the idiot, they said, is someone who is a totally private person, a totally self-centered person, and a totally selfish person. They called him the idiot. The idiot, he is always out for his personal gain and his personal interests. He does not have a public philosophy. He has no knowledge, no skill, no character, and no virtues to be able to live and to be able to contribute in a flourishing society and community. He's all out for his personal pleasures and for his personal treasures. And the Greeks said that the idiot was just an upgraded barbarian. The first kind of person, the idiot. But the Greeks also said that there is a second kind of people in any given society. And the Greeks called these people the tribes people. When we say tribes people, we don't necessarily mean the fact of belonging to a certain tribe, which is a good thing. But when they use the word tribes people, the Greeks meant a tribal and a tribalistic mentality. And the Greeks said that tribes people are those people who are not able to think beyond their small tribe or their small groups. For tribes people, their primary allegiance, their only allegiance, and their ultimate allegiance is to their tribe. Their tribe is their God, and their religion is tribalism. And tribes people, the Greeks said, are always afraid of things that are different, that are a little alien to them. They are always suspicious and fearful. And they always dealt with different people and difficult situations with intimidation, with force, and with violence. And the Greeks also said that the ideal person for tribes people is the warrior, because tribes people are a war-making people. Their ideal is the warrior. But it was not so for the Greeks. For the Greeks, there was another kind of people, another kind of a person, and that was the ideal person. And the Greeks called this ideal person the citizen. The citizen. And here when we use the word citizen, we are not talking about legal status or political status. We are talking about the idea and the ideal of citizenship. And who is the citizen? The citizen, according to the Greeks, is someone who has the skills and the knowledge to live a public life, who is able to live a life of civility. The citizen recognizes that he or she is a member of a commonwealth and thus strives for the common good. That is the citizen. The citizen, yes, he or she knows his or her rights in a society. but he or she also knows his or her responsibilities to society. The citizen can fight for his rights, but always with an awareness of and with a respect for the rights and interests of others, of their neighbors, of the smallest of minorities, and of the worst of their enemies. And it is citizens, the Greeks said, that make up a civilized society, because citizens settle their differences with civility. So they produce a civilized society, a society that truly lives up to the name, to the meaning of the name society. Society literally means friendship and friendliness. That is the threefold distinction that the Greeks have given us. That is the choice that each and every individual, wherever he or she may be, has to make in a society. And I believe that that is the choice that starkly faces us Naga people today. Will we be idiots living only for ourselves? Will we be tribalistic tribes people, unable to think beyond our tribes and our small groups? Or will we be citizens? Citizens in the best sense of the word. Today on this historic day.
All right. So I mean, I've listened to this man. I can't remember how many times. All right. In fact, since last year, I started listening to this particular clip. So what are you? Are you an idiot? Are you a tribalist, or you are a citizen? Whatever characteristic you say that you, or character you say that you are, it's up to you. But can you explain why you are an idiot? Why you are a tribalist? Why you are a citizen? I would say that I'm a citizen. All right, I am a citizen, because you see, there is more burden psychologically or physically in being a tribalist and even being an idiot. Because when you are an idiot, like he said, you live for yourself. It's all about you, as we normally hear folks say, is I, me, and myself. Though it's not correct, but it's bad, because at the end of the day, even if there's a problem, there's trouble. Say, for example, fire got at your house and you live in an environment, it becomes a problem for you to even get people to come around. But there are certain people that will still come around. And the people that will come around to assist you, despite your awful lifestyle, are the citizens. Because the citizens, they do not just live for themselves. They do not just live in an environment and just seek their common good, their success, their progress, and everything. They also look out for other people. They open their eyes to the realities of life every day. And they say that if Marker Bio is struggling, it means I'm struggling. So how can I get involved? How can I step in? If Julius is going through difficulties, I'm also going through that difficulties. How can I step in? How can I, be a supportive friend or colleague? So, I mean, I'm saying all this to say that whatever reaction you put up today, whatever posture you wear, whatever characteristic you exhibit, because Prince Johnson is dead, or because Joseph Boakai is president, he's a kissy man, and because Georgia was a president yesterday, he's a crew man. At the end of the day, one thing that you should always, one personality that you should always strive to be is a citizen. When you are a citizen, I am very sure you wouldn't sit down and see the presidency as your property. Because, say, for example, Matthias Okisime, I'm proud of that. That because Okisime is president, therefore, I should now start to relinquish professional journalistic tenets and start to defend, because he's Okisime. I must defend Okisime. Like a young man I had a conversation with back in 2022 when he left the office of Senator Darius Dillon. And he said, it's not time for me to support my crew brother. I said, when did you realize that he's a crewman? I know that I'm watching something on TikTok lately. You can see the brothers from Granji there, the level of celebration, all right? The level of celebration they are, carrying out. I don't know whether it's just something coincidental or it's something they're doing because Prince Johnson is dead. Some of the folks from Granji, I know there are a lot of people who are sympathetic and they're empathetic about the situation. But, I mean, there are a number of people that cried for justice, that this man be prosecuted. I know even up to the funeral service, there were comments that people made at the funeral service that did not go down well with other people. For example, Honorable Thomas Yaya Nimle, who said that this man bought himself time. People have different reactions. People react differently to different situations. In my mind, if the Fulanis become citizens of Liberia today, which some of them are becoming gradually, all right, and one of them happened to become president of Liberia, if they transform Liberia in the mindset of a citizen, I will live a better life because I am a citizen. You know why? I'm not just a citizen based on political status, all right, based on birth, but I'm a citizen in deeds, in acts, and in attitude or whatever way. Because I'm a citizen because I see the growth of Liberia. I see that when Liberia progresses, I will progress. My life will go forward. My life will be better. All right. So I think we let us sit down and have some moments. Yes, some moments, sober reflections on the passing of Senator Prince Yomi Johnson, how we can find healing, holistic healing, not rooting out justice. Of course, we are still calling for justice. Yesterday we had, the guy from the massacre victims or Lutheran Church massacre folks. We can find healing while we call for justice without pointing fingers that he's a crewman, he's a kissy man, that man is a crime man, he's a mono man. The moment we start to put some of these things, it becomes a problem for us to finally heal as a people. Yesterday, I saw the disaster management agencies, one of the vehicles, and I read on the vehicle some of the conflicts, some of the disasters that Liberia is prone to. And you know what are one of these disasters? Conflict. Yes, conflict among ourselves is a disaster. We'll be right back after the news.
Your worldwide news update.
So this is January 6th, and these are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
U.S. President Donald Trump has freed thousands of his supporters who were tried and convicted in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. The president signed the pardon Monday night in the Oval Office just hours after he was sworn in for the second time. Trump also said that 6 prisoners will have their sentences commuted. The attack on the U.S. Capitol 4 years ago came as lawmakers were set to certify Democrat Joe Biden's victory over Trump in the 2020 presidential election. At least 100 police officers were injured during the attack. Brandon Fellows, who was jailed for illegally entering the U.S. Capitol during the riots, was one of many supporters standing outside the Washington, D.C. jail where many January 6 offenders have been held. He expressed relief and gratitude for Trump's actions.
I don't think we're done. I think he'll be going case by case as he shared. It's amazing how just everything, the inauguration, everything just seems so beautifully and well done today.
Trump had promised to pardon those involved in the January 6 attack during his re-election campaign. President Trump also signed a series of executive orders his officials described as common sense policies addressing immigration and border security. The orders include declaring a national emergency at the U.S. southern border, border wall construction, and ending birthright citizenship to some children born in the United States. Shortly after Trump's inauguration, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency posted a notice on its website saying it had discontinued an app which had facilitated the legal entry of nearly 1 million people into the U.S. with eligibility to work. This is VOA News. The Republican president repeatedly pledged during the campaign to carry out mass deportations targeting at least 11 million undocumented individuals. Trump also signed an executive order once again withdrawing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement. Here's AP correspondent Haya Panjwani.
The move was announced as Trump took office for a second term and is a blow to worldwide efforts to combat global warming and distances the nation from its closest allies. The Paris Accord encourages nations to limit global temperature increases to 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit above pre-industrial levels. Global efforts to fight climate change stumbled but survived the Republicans' first term as other countries, states, cities, and businesses picked up some of the slack. No other country has withdrawn from the 2015 agreement. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
The U.S. Senate has confirmed the first member of President Trump's cabinet.
On this vote, the yeas are 99, the nays are 0. The nomination of the great Senator Marco Rubio from the state of Florida is confirmed.
Rubio was confirmed by his fellow senators Monday night, hours after Trump's inauguration. The son of Cuban immigrants, Rubio is the first Latino to hold the post as the nation's top diplomat. He has long been involved in foreign affairs during his time in the Senate, particularly in South America, and has emerged as a hawk on China's rise as a global superpower. Canadian leaders expressed relief that broad tariffs will not apply to Canadian products on the first day of Donald Trump's presidency, but Trump later said he could impose a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico on February 1st. AP correspondent Mike Hempen has more.
Canadian leaders say they're relieved broad tariffs haven't been applied to Canadian products on President Trump's first day in office. However, Trump pledged in his inaugural address that tariffs would be coming and said foreign countries would be paying the trade penalties. Trump had threatened to impose sweeping tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and other trading partners. An incoming White House official on Monday pointed reporters to a Wall Street Journal story saying Trump will only sign a memorandum telling federal officials to study trade issues. Canadian Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc says having the U.S. study the U.S.-Canada trading relationship is a good thing. I'm Mike Hempen.
VOA's podcast, The Issue, takes you beyond the headlines, diving into the stories shaping our world. That wraps up this update, but the world and news never stop. For additional updates, visit our website, voanews.com. I'm Richard Green, VOA News.
I'm feeling the vibes with originalhits.com.
Yeah. Choke my way.
Download your favorite song at originalhits.com.
My way. I make the boss set it for a date. Wake me up on bit. Let me start my day. Send me on my way. My way. My way. My way. My way. Yes, way. My way. My way. My way. I say yes, way. My way. My way. My way. My way. My way. my way. When you are going on journey, you not to yourself, not because you you said about Musu, you said about Juzu, you said about President, and what about you? Every day you can eat, I ain't providing food. Giving you cabinet, rabbit at school. Make sure you got it, make sure you strong. Make sure every day you do. If you born my kid, you live long. Tell me living and following the boozy, I know I'm happy, I know I'm a sinner. Always bring the bigger win, I get drink, I get lie, I get 20K. Come on, I'm gonna go and play. When I show you the heat, you still a game. Always give me a reason to game for this way, my way, People say I did, people say I die, people say I mean I agree. Someone bought at me in a week, I found it, work at my knee, I hear. If body, you stand out on my feet, get out on my knees, I pray. Yes, way, my way, my way. Yes, way, my way, I say, yes, way, my way, my way. Yes, way, my way. Papa Jozo having power and grace of vision. Give me strength to remember, make me know you get me. So in the morning I wash my face, praying to God the first thing. But I river, praying for grace. I do a mercy anointing. Say that I'm here, running at God, I was saying here to me, nothing. But I believe in Glibber, I believe in Baba, I'm praying to you on mountain. Praying the 10th time I gave God the papel, I won't let you say nothing. When you see me coming for food, I tell you my brother, that you say I pass the one day for a day. Wake me up on bed, let me start my day. Send me on my way, my way. Yes, way, my way. I say yes, way, my way.
You know, it's said.
Download your favorite song at
My way.
I'm feeling the vibes with
That there are
originalhits.com.
always three kinds of people in any given society. This threefold distinction has been noted and made. You know, it is said that there are always three kinds of people in any given society. This threefold distinction has been noted and made by notable sociologists and public intellectuals. But this threefold distinction of the three kinds of people, it was first identified and first stated by the supporters and founders of democracy in ancient Greece. For the Greek people, the people who in many ways gave us the modern civilized world, for the Greek people, the first kind of people in any given society are the idiots. For the Greeks, the idiot is not necessarily someone who is mentally deficient. Rather, for ancient Greek people, the idiot, they said, is someone who is a totally private person, a totally self-centered person, and a totally selfish person. They called him the idiot. The idiot, he is always out for his personal gain and his personal interests. He does not have a public philosophy. He has no knowledge, no skill, no character, and no virtues to be able to live and to be able to contribute in a flourishing society and community. He's all out for his personal pleasures and for his personal treasures. And the Greeks said that the idiot was just an upgraded barbarian. The first kind of person, the idiot. But the Greeks also said that there is a second kind of people in any given society. And the Greeks called these people the tribes people. When we say tribes people, we don't necessarily mean the fact of belonging to a certain tribe, which is a good thing. But when they use the word tribes people, the Greeks meant a tribal and a tribalistic mentality. And the Greeks said that tribes people are those people who are not able to think beyond their small tribe or their small groups. For tribes people, their primary allegiance, their only allegiance, and their ultimate allegiance is to their tribe. Their tribe is their God, and their religion is tribalism. And tribes people, the Greeks said, are always afraid of things that are different, that are a little alien to them. They are always suspicious and fearful. And they always dealt with different people and difficult situations with intimidation, with force, and with violence. And the Greeks also said that the ideal person for tribes people is the warrior, because tribes people are a war-making people. Their ideal is the warrior. But it was not so for the Greeks. For the Greeks, there was another kind of people, another kind of a person, and that was the ideal person. And the Greeks called this ideal person the citizen. The citizen. And here when we use the word citizen, we are not talking about legal status or political status. We are talking about the idea and the ideal of citizenship. And who is the citizen? The citizen, according to the Greeks, is someone who has the skills and the knowledge to live a public life, who is able to live a life of civility. The citizen recognizes that he or she is a member of a commonwealth and thus strives for the common good. That is the citizen. The citizen, yes, he or she knows his or her rights in a society, but he or she also knows his or her responsibilities to society. The citizen can fight for his rights, but always with an awareness of and with a respect for the rights and interests of others, of their neighbors, of the smallest of minorities, and of the worst of their enemies. And it is citizens, the Greeks said, that make up a civilized society, because citizens settle their differences with civility. So they produce a civilized society, a society that truly lives up to the meaning of the name society. Society literally means friendship and friendliness. That is the threefold distinction that the Greeks have given us. That is the choice that each and every individual, wherever he or she may be, has to make in a society. And I believe that that is the choice that starkly faces us Naga people today. Will we be idiots living only for ourselves? Will we be tribalistic tribes people, unable to think beyond our tribes and our small groups? Or will we be citizens? Citizens in the best sense of the word. Today, on this historic day, I believe I want to make my choice. And I also believe that you will want to make your choice. And I hope you and I will take that right choice. And it is with that hope that I want to finally address you, ladies and gentlemen, as my fellow Naga citizens. May God bless you and may God bless you.
Every time I listen to it, I break a smile. Like there is this, grain of really, really broad smile that comes out. Out of me, that I actually feel that someone is communicating to people, conscious people. All that is required is for you to listen and grasp what he's saying. During this critical period of our country's history, where there are calls for the establishment of war crimes court, even more heightening than before, than even when the war just ended. Even though this government has taken some steps in ensuring that the office of the War Crimes Court is established, we also have another divide, and that divide is the political divide. That as long as you're not part of this political group, it means that you do not share the same ideology that people from that group share. Obviously, that's a fact. But there is one ideology that should synchronize all other ideologies in the country. And that ideology is the ideology of a citizen, of belonging to a certain organization. And that organization is the nation. The fact that we all come from one nation and we belong to this organization, the nation, Liberia, all right, I think it is that thing that should give us the hope every morning by waking up. Today, waking up to the fact that we have a responsibility to build a country, to build a nation, not just for ourselves, but for our children, that we can wake up tomorrow and travel the world and return to this country with passion and so much potential, and everything that we acquire and return with in our country, we can be sure of having security to ensure that we manage that thing and give it, the best growth that we want to give it, because our country will be peaceful by then. Of course, we are experiencing some semblance of peace. You always see this divide, and it's obvious, all right? But I think if we start to think as citizens, even the Capitol building situation, where some individuals unscrupulously just walked to that place and burned $1 million structure, a national symbol, and some other people are sitting, whether from the idiotic perspectives or whether from the tribalistic perspective. And by the way, Dr. Kavajuka did not just, when he said tribalist, this does not just have to do with your tribe, as in your tribe, that your Kisi, your Loma. It also has to do with aligning with certain ideologies, that the fact that I am a sedition, the fact that I'm a unity partisan, and this person that got arrested for this particular situation, accused of participating in this situation, I think the government is wrong, because you are so aligned to that group, and the fact that that person has or shares some alignment with that group, it means that that person should not be arrested, no matter the situation, no matter their involvement with that situation. So I think we sort of have to sit down as a people. I know it's difficult for conscious messages like this for certain people to just sift through them. That, all right, let me listen to the conscious voice of Matthias this morning, taking cue from what that doctor said from the Nagaland, I think it's somewhere in Thailand or so, the Naga people, taking cue from what that doctor said and trying to bring it to the Liberian reality and connecting each citizen to this particular story shared by this doctor. Are you an idiot, a tribalist, or a citizen? If you're a citizen and someone commits a crime, like the late Senator Prince Johnson was accused many times of participating in mayhems in the country during the 14 years of civil crisis. He was judged by the court of public opinion and even found guilty in the court of public opinion, but he was not tried in any legal court. It is concerning. All right, he's dead, he's buried, and folks are coming up with different remarks, different comments from different angles. Growing up in a family-like community, in a village, that everyone in that village is a family. Everyone is a member of that family. Whether you are from your surname is different, but as long as you enter my village, we're all families. Growing up in that place, there are a few things that we learn, a couple of things that we came to understand. When someone commits a crime in our village, in Hundonin village, that crime affects everyone. So the entire community comes together to ensure that that person is prosecuted. Either you are jailed from the village jail, bill with sticks, and so you can break it. You have the means of breaking it, but you can't break it. It means that you have to be reminded there for a period of time. When a child does wrong in a certain environment and that person is going to another side of the town, and the information reaches people from the upper part of the town that this child has done X, Y, and Z. Oh my God. You should have just stayed in that particular space where you committed a crime, where you did the act, and received some whipping or flogging, rather than, trying to leave to go to other part of the town. Then that means your beating will be extended. So you can either choose to be an idiot, you choose to be a tribalist, or you choose to be a citizen, in the words of Dr. Kavachuga. I think the best choice to make is to be a citizen. When you are a citizen, you wouldn't internalize the life and death and subsequent burial of Senator Prince Johnson from a tribalistic perspective or idiotic perspective. You will look at it from a citizen perspective. Anyway, it's good to be here always. This is Sky Morning Live on Sky 107.1. We are here Monday to Thursday. Subsequently, we'll add Friday to it. The young producer, Marker, is in the process of growing. Eventually, he's going to join. So we're here every weekday morning, Monday to Thursday for now, discussing issues of national concern. With that, we've invited the Deputy Minister for Public Affairs at the Ministry of Information, Minister Daniel Sando, a longtime friend. He now works in government. He's now a minister. I'm saying this to say that, there are terms that you find people wavering from one area to another when they can't secure a job. They rather relinquish certain pursuit in order for them to be factored in. We saw a couple of young men in this town that remain on the course of their struggle for the period of 6 years and say, you know what, we're going to stay. Eventually, we're going to get there. And he's here now. He's a minister now. Good morning, Mr. Sando.
Good morning, Matthias. And let me say good morning to our compatriots who are following.
Right.
I was very moved by the insightful rendition of the auditor and the orator.
Right.
His analysis of the issue.
What are you? Are you an idiot, a tribalist, or a citizen?
I think I'm a citizen.
Okay.
I'm a citizen. I'm a DU citizen.
Okay.
Because when you begin to liken his analogy to the unfolding in our country today, you will tend to wonder whether people try to put the country above self, or they tend to see their parochial interests above the national interests, or they don't tend to see anything good beyond the limits, the boundaries of their ethnic affiliation. These are chains that have bound our country down. The abyss of backwardness has therefore hindered the progress of our country. And these kind of insightful oration are good for our population. People have to pay attention to these things because, when you are taught civic education at the junior high level, you get to understand that as a citizen of Liberia, your first duty is to be loyal to your country. And loyalty to the country will entails that you see your country above self.
Right.
Patriotism, nationalism. And that brings me to another point that you raised when you mentioned the fire incident that occurred at the grounds of the Capitol building, the place that we consider the seat of the Liberian democracy.
Right.
And I was saying to couple of journalists the other day at a press conference. I said, we fought 14 years of brutal civil conflict. We killed each other. None of the warring faction ever set the Capitol building ablaze.
Not at all.
Because above everything else, that is the seat of the people's representation. Properties were destroyed, lives were destroyed. We raped human intestine, turned into checkpoints and everything. We didn't burn the mansion. We didn't burn the Capitol building. Why? Because it is a seat of the Liberian democracy. Now, for people to have been induced by whatever substances or intoxication that led them to have committed a crime, I think that is beyond somebody who I consider an elevated idiot.
Well, I mean, but what is the? You know, we already getting into certain points, but I just want to come back a bit to something. And like I said, 2 years now, I've been listening to this doctor, this particular oration. If I woke up this morning with that desire of at least using the space right now, as I mean, the energy in the air is different. It's a mixture of energies from different groups of people. Some people share the view that, well, the Boubacar administration tortured, you know, the late senator emotionally, psychologically. That's one of the things that led to his death, because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf rewarded him by protecting him and not, you know, going. She could have brought the war crimes court, but she didn't do that for 2 terms. Mr. Weah, also former President George Weah, could not do it because they had to maintain relationship with this man that came from one of the most populated counties in Liberia. But why didn't you, as a unity party government, consider relationship over justice?
Matthias, we have to move past certain things as a country. The first thing, the section by Senator Nimna, with all due respect to him, he's a member of the Senate. We don't agree with him that the late senator was killed as a result of the war crime court establishment. It is not true.
Why would you disagree?
It is not true because there's no verifiable medical record that point to that. The next thing here is, how many years have the issue of war crime court lingered for in the corridors of Liberian politics?
Nobody has taken the kind of bold step that you have taken.
I'm coming. We have to address this thing with clarity, because people want to put the government, they want to use this smear campaign to put the government against certain people, which is wrong. War crime court has been lingering in the corridors of Liberian body politics for the last 22 years. They were advocates. Where was it Lysander Johnson when Moa Molu and the other people carried casket to the U.S. embassy and said they wouldn't war crime court?
It didn't come.
Has it could come?
Nobody took action.
So let me say this to you. Let me say this to you. The person who is making this statement is another warlord who himself should be lying prostrate and rendering apology. And it's sounding remorseful, rendering apology to the scores of Liberians who experience mayhem, terrible disaster of memory as a result of their action. He should be lying prostrate. I don't know which church he's coming from, but he needs to go to the church to lie prostrate, to pray to God for forgiveness and ask the Liberian people to forgive him, other than coming up to justify your action.
Why was the establishment of the court important to your government?
We have to see this country beyond ourselves. There are future generations that will hold us accountable if we do not end the culture of impunity. The court is not coming for no specific person. The court is coming to safeguard our democracy. The court is coming for the protection of lives and property. The court is coming for accountability. The court is coming to bring a closure to our war years, all of the terrible memories that we still have. I was just driving to Nimba the other day to attend the funeral of the late senator. There's a friend who I was driving with, and we passed a town after Banga is called Ferela.
Mhm.
And he said to me, Sandro, the first time I saw a human being shot with a gun was in this town.
He still remembers that.
So I said, what do you mean? He said, well, walking from Banga, Unimo J, Unimo K. He said, he remember. He said, when we got in this town, the late Kloma, who was leader of the Unimo K, had passed an order that all the men should be conscripted into his Malaysia force or be killed, because he had got the information that all the men who were leaving Banga were loyal to Taylor. And these friends told me that when they got in that town, there were long queue formed. All the men one side, women one side. And he said, by the grace of God, somebody who were in the same school that he was attending walked to him and said, you know me? He said, I don't know you. Don't be afraid. You know me. We're in the same school. Come, follow me. He said, we're going to kill all the people. But I wanted to point out who are people that you are related to you in that land. And the few people that he could point to, he pointed to them to the left. And he said, as we were walking, the first man they identified as a fighter for Taylor was shot in his face. People still live with this memory. And when we talk about bringing a closure to everything that happened in this country, people think it's about somebody. And you go, instead of trying to give a eulogy that will come the life and struggle of Senator Johnson, you go there to try to politicize his burial. It was wrong.
Does the government take offense for Senator Nimle's statement?
Offense would not be our choice of words, but I think the fact that the vice president, the speaker of the legislature, responded in that tone suggests that the leadership of the country is not well receiving the statement from Senator Nimle. I think it's very bad. And this is the same Senator Nimle who, during the second round of the election, went to the people of Grand Gila County. You can't be a leader of the country and you want to talk on two sides of a mouth. This man, the video recording is there. In the studio, I think it was Smart FM in his radio, when he said that the Liberian people were faced with two options in the second round of the election. One group came to steal from the people, and one group wanted to kill the people. He said John and his people wanted to steal from them. And if the people of Grand Gila should make a choice between the two, they would rather go for the people who want to steal from them than to vote for the people who want to kill them.
What does that mean?
In essence, he was saying that Senator Johnson support to the rescue mission, if President Bouaka, Ambassador Bouaka, he was saying that if Bouaka wins the election, they will go after the people of Grand Gila. And so they would rather stay with Joe Weah and people who want to steal from them. The video recording is all on social media. He made a statement. And Senator Nimle has come a long way. He used to be a member of the Liberty Party, contested 2-3 times, but defeated before he won the election. And I was very disappointed in him. So the long of the short is the leadership of the country is now saturated with people some of the people who bear greatest responsibility for the mayhem that we experience in this country. And the best they can do for this country is to see the country beyond their narrow interests. If you think, I admire the late Senator Johnson a whole lot. The way he boldly walked up to the president pro tempore and said, "Give me the pen."
Why you doing the signing? You won't leave me out.
Sign.
Yeah.
You see, in fact, why you didn't bring it to my office to sign it? He gave a statement.
You guys want to do it secretly.
That was courage. He was very courageous. He signed. I was shocked. I was in my office on that fateful day, and I was following the procedure at the Senate via the internet. And he gave a statement and said, the first thing, I take offense, Madam Pro Tem. I take offense, Madam President Pro Tempore, for you not even bringing the resolution to my office. Why did you take it to other people or you not brought it to me? And he gave a statement and he walked with boldness and said, "Give me the pen." He took a pen and he signed it.
Which means Senator Nimler did not follow, all of that. He probably forgot. But
there are always people that Senator Nimler in the
there's a bit of contradiction though.
Yeah.
Even though he took the position to have signed, for the establishment of the court in Liberia, that later followed by the establishment of the office of the War Crimes Court. The senator, the list senator, also took a position publicly where he's heard in several audios that we supported you, we brought you here, and you came here to bring War Crimes Court on us. He was sounding angry. Did he have a conversation with the president? Can you say that he had a conversation with the president prior to?
I can say that for a fact. But,
right.
Senator Johnson was part of the leadership of the country.
Right.
The fact that he signed this resolution seeking to establish the office of the War Crimes Court, he voluntarily signed it. Was he on a duress? Because if I'm in opposition to a particular establishment, I would not affix my signature to it. He was never on a duress. In fact, I'm told that before he took that decision, he met with the NIMAC Legislative Caucus.
That same day?
No, before that decision was taken on that day to sign it, he met with the NIMAC Legislative Caucus.
Meaning it was already a discussion amongst them.
So this man was boldly courageous. He defended his county in his own war. He said if people were being slaughtered, he came to defend them. I'm not here to judge him. What I do understand, what I do know, is that there are bad things that happen in the process. And when we talk about the establishment of the War Crimes Court, it's not just about retributive justice. No. So that scenario that I gave you from the beginning of the conversation in Federal, that general is still around.
Yeah.
When that my friend was taken away, do you know how many persons was murdered? So people should not beg, should not answer, should not express remorse for their action. So we have a long way to go as a country. And
Senator, Minister Sando, the thing about Liberia, we've gone through a lot of things as a people. We've had 3 or 4 elections since the war ended. We've had 3 or 4 transitions, smooth transitions.
Before you go to that point, Matthias,
right?
You say, you give an analogy. You say, "Oh, President Salif came. She didn't establish the War Crimes Court. George Weah came." It goes back to what the orator said, that people have to see the country be an due citizen. If you went to the population during electoral campaign and said, "When you vote for me, I will do this," and when you have voted, you do contrary, you're not helping the country. President Bokar campaigned on ending the culture of impunity. Didn't Senator Johnson campaign for President Bokar? Didn't he campaign? So why is
so he's aware? He was aware of what
I'm sure the life of Senator Johnson, it's as a country we have a lot to learn from it. He was a person of mischaracteristics, but in the end, look how the people of Nima honor Senator Johnson in his death.
Yeah.
Look how they honor him. Because when you are a leader, your job is to serve the people. The way Senator Johnson was honored by his people in Nima County suggests that he actually served his people. He served his people. And when you go to bury such an individual, it's not a time to, why would I want to say that he is without fault? That time is not also the moment where you want to.
The people have a saying that a dead man does not have a bad name. But there's something though I need you to throw light on. I've not clearly understood that compact thing that a lot of publications have been done and things. One group of people think that this government is not attracting these kind of international goodwills because of the decisive postures that the government is taking. For example, going to the point of establishing the Office of the War Crimes Code. In fact, taking actions against officials of government immediately as they get involved into certain things. Suspension of the NEC boards, suspension of the immigration boards, and several other actions taken. And so, what is the full package in this compact?
Well, the full package of the compact has not been unveiled.
Okay,
but it is believed that it will be above the previous compact that Liberia received. It will be above that amount. The first one was something neighborhood of 250 million, and we are hopeful that this is going to be above that, maybe in the tune of 500 million, it's $500 million. But I mean, it is just clear how we have distinguished.
Are you taking this discussion to the point of the position of the government, the posture the government is exhibiting? That's why these things are
so that's the point I'm coming to, right? Yesterday, the Minister of Finance, Honorable Augustine Big Farm, hosted the delegation from the Mediterranean Challenge Corporation. You have to understand that the compact is one of the ways through which the United States can intervene to help countries address certain issues that they need. That money is their taxpayer money. It's their taxpayer money. And if they look at the managers of the country and they believe that the managers of the country, even if they qualify for the compact, will not manage the fund properly, they will not give it to you.
Okay.
They will not give it to you. So
has there been a case like that in Liberia?
So the release that were issued when the Liberia qualified, there are a couple of countries that qualified, they're not getting the money. Togo, Botswana, there are a couple of countries on that list.
Okay. Because they do not have the proper managers.
The manager cannot be trusted to manage the fund.
Mr. Sanu, just a moment.
Yeah.
One of the gaps in the public relation sector of our country, most especially those of you in government, is that when you engage platforms to discuss these kind of technical things, you tend to stay at a certain pitch where people from down there may not understand, right? So the question I'm asking, I'm trying to bring it to the point where make my grandmother to understand what is compact. How would it transform her life?
Okay,
should Liberia secure it?
So compact money you can qualify to get.
Right.
If you do certain things, how the rule of law in your country is, how you invest in certain areas. You have a scorecard. Like you go to school, you score 90 in history, but you score 60 in math. You score 50 in English.
That's a problem. Right?
That's a problem for you. So when you pass certain subject, they say you pass on a contingent, but when you pass certain subject, they say you made a successful pass, right? So that money is there, the set condition.
So when it comes, you determine how you spend it,
well,
as a nation, or the state guide you in the process.
They will guide you in the process, but they will guide you in the process. But the first one that Liberia qualified for, it was used to resuscitate the McCoffey Hydro.
Okay.
Yes. So this second one I will not qualify for. The government have not said what they're going to use, where they're going to direct this money. I'm sure it's going to be in energy, in rural infrastructure, and other sector of the economy. But they assume it is energy and the rural infrastructure. How this is going to make significant impact for us, right? So if you qualify for the money, they come just sit down. They're going to qualification for the money doesn't mean you will get it.
Okay.
You have to put into place the system
to operate or
it's
to
a
manage
whole program.
Okay.
So the people who came here yesterday and met with the Minister of Finance, they have an interim country manager for Liberia, the project director for Africa from the MCC in the country. They have in order to conversations. part of the conversation we're having, according to what we are told from the Ministry of Finance, is that they are discussing working out the modality on setting up the office for Liberia, the MCC office for Liberia, right? When that office is set up, the next thing they're going to do is to talk about the recruitment of staff, because it's a whole program. Before you go for one stage, you got to do certain things to go to one stage, another stage, right? So all of the processes have to be codified. Then the money will come and we can invest it in the place we want to invest it, right? So that's it for you there. So why it couldn't come under the past government? Because it's simple. The people didn't trust them.
I mean, that may seem as the political side of Minister Sando.
I tell you, right. We want to be very, very apolitical about this. The reason why the country, I mean, look at the managers of the country. You think the US government will give $500 million to the person who is managing the fiscal policy of the country?
I want to get away from that.
Say this. Let me say this. People were qualifying for sanctions.
They were not qualifying to bring money, but they were qualifying
for sanctions.
For sanctions.
And you know what it means if you are qualified for if the United States sanction you, you're not supposed to touch any US money. I think you know that they say even the banks will not do business with you, right?
Absolutely.
So it will be a paradox of reasoning if the finance minister of the country is being sanctioned, and then they say, "Oh, Liberia qualify." So now
they'll be contradicting their very system. But let's get away. Let's just talk about one more thing. I mean,
so the reason why, before you go to the next one, the reason why we have qualified for the compact in 1 year is because of the quality of individuals involved, the character. Look at the president, for example. The president building the reputation of the country that was destroyed in the last 6 years. There are people out there who can point to the president. You see, he's a very responsible person. We can trust him. We can do business with him. Look at the finance minister, right? Work in this country for the first compact. When Liberia qualified for the first compact, right? Kafan was finance minister. He left from Ministry of Finance, went to Foreign Affairs. When he left Foreign Affairs, where did he go? To the African Development Bank. Right? So he's somebody who understands the global financial sector, how it operates. So they say, we can trust this man. They're not going to trust somebody who will go to the bank and take $250 million and say we're going down West Point to go do multiple exercise.
Mr. Sando, there is something that I think the government communication folks need to arrest urgently.
What is that?
It is this issue regarding the suspension of the chairperson of the National Elections Commission. There are comments out there in the public that Nimba, a vacancy, will soon be announced in Nimba County. Therefore, the Unity Party is orchestrating or has orchestrated a move, thereby suspending the chairperson of the National Elections Commission and having someone that will operate at the will and pleasure, even though the Brown Lansana would have done so because the president is appointed by the president. Do you think the action of the president is timely? All right, giving the current need to organize that institution to take Nimba County, the most popular county in Liberia, populated county in Liberia, by the way, to elections?
So I try as much as possible since my appointment not to be political.
You haven't?
I try not to be political because you know
my producer is disagreeing, but is he not political? Look, anyway, go ahead.
You know, when I say not political, being that to be worried about who win the next election, who win this election, you know. But I'm a political person by nature. But to say I come to the radio, we'll win the 2029 election, we'll win. No. That's not my era. My era here is to communicate government accomplishment to the people, bridge the gap, communicate government messages to the people so that there can be no room for disinformation and misinformation, right? So, but to address that point, which is a very serious point I will have to address, the first thing here is that the Election Commission board is constituted by the leadership of the country. Comprises how many persons?
I think there should be
seven
commissioners.
So you have the chairperson, one person who is the chairperson, you have a co-chair, and the others are members, right? So I assume that the chairperson of the entity is suspended. She's not dismissed, she's suspended. Is there not a co-chair? Are there not other members of the board of commissioners? So that's absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong for anybody to assume that because of the suspension of the Elder Brown, it is well calculated for the government to go to NEMA. So the president. So we preempted the death of Senator Johnson. But here's what I want to say to you: when workers go on a rampage, they block roads, they stall the movement of the traffic, they impede the movement of other private citizens, who takes the responsibility? It is the government. It is the government. There is a situation at the Elections Commission. And the situation was raised, among them. The co-chairperson has been on the radio, even the chairperson on the radio. And from what we are told is that people who worked for the 2023 elections deserve what they call hazard benefit. And out of the money that NEC received from the government, sufficient of the money left over. And
the information is that she returned the money.
She returned the money unilaterally.
Can you confirm that?
Well, we are told, right?
Okay.
We are told by her own colleagues. The money was returned to the Ministry of Finance, and she refused to pay the workers for the hazard benefit and prioritize the renovation of the NEC offices ahead of the payment of the hazard benefit for the employees. It became a problem. The marshal got involved and asked her to reinstate the people that she wanted to dismiss. She refused. Also, the president should sit supinely. And then when the NEC workers, over 100% go on the road, block the traffic, and they say, oh, the government is weak. The government is this.
Did the president violate any law in taking that?
The president violated no law because the very law that constitutes the Elections Commission clearly states that the chairperson is not supposed to take any unilateral decision. Every decision taken by the board of commission should be based on consultation.
And that's why the
investigation showed that she took unilateral decisions.
First, to transfer to send the money back. Secondly, to
dismiss two people. It was unilateral, which violated the very law creating the entity. The president is the head of government. So somebody blatantly violated the law. You don't see the violation.
You think people are devilishly putting a political spin on the issue?
There will always be spin doctors. They always around. If Daniel Sanders doesn't come to the studio on time, they say, oh, the main thing was serious. They don't know the constraint will go through. The president do a complaint. So, the society has to move on. For the country to be a, wholesome, functioning country, there have to be the spin doctors. They will be there. But from the perspective of the government, there's no such contemplation to say that we want to go to, manipulate.
Is the Unity Party going to be feuding a candidate?
Of course. The last thing I want to do is to tamper with the credibility of the election. Least we forget. All of the trouble this country went through was because somebody decided to tamper with the 1985 elections. Don't forget.
Right.
Don't forget. So elections credibility brought us on the sustainability of our democracy. And as a government, deeply rooted in the good tenets of democracy, we have no contemplation to manipulate whatever election, whether that community election, that district election, that county election. There's no such contemplation.
We're going to let the minister go quickly. We have 6 minutes. Let me see whether you want to participate.
Those who want to,
just a moment, Minister Sanders. Let me see whether you want to participate. If you want to, just place the call to the numbers 0777 107 0777 221 223. Let's talk to at most 3 persons and let the minister go. He has to go for a press conference. Good morning.
Morning, Mataya.
Fine, thank you. Please be brief.
Good morning to the minister.
Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Ali Patikomen.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Mataya, let me commend the minister. They ask the minister a question. While I see Mataya, I think that question is deleted because
sorry.
I already telling you all Nimba Kante, Bono, so we want to our screen to see Voilà, the Matande for CDC or for United Party. So we'll be putting Kennedy in the mark, someone will be in the mark to make sure a campaign to bring up Kennedy to get to about. Minister Sando, I hear people talking about, I don't know if you're just especially for the communication out of the government. Minister Sando, the propaganda against the government is too much. And I want for you to overlook it every time you're going to see me, I'll always bring it to you. The propaganda against the government is very serious.
So recommend now.
Please sit and recalibrate to see our best. So that we'll be able to tackle the government because the government really lying to our people. To be honest, you and myself will understand propaganda, but a whole lot of people that are not understanding it. So we want for you to recalibrate and see our best to tackle the menace so that we'll be able to patrol it. Thank you very much.
Okay, man, Piggy. Is that okay? The last person. Hello. Hello. Let's just squeeze in the last one. We have 4 minutes to go. Good morning. Good morning. All right, so let's leave it like that, Marker. Yes, Minister Sando. But is there someone there? Yes, you just use this time to close. Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Fine, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning to the minister in the studio there. Look, we know that there are pressing issues within this country, and the issues are the questions that were being asked, especially the issue of the National Election Commission. I think it's one of the key issues, and the way the minister answered the questions, you can sense the political tone. Though he said he tried not to be political, saying his appointment, but I want to say that to that conclude, I want to ask this question to the minister: is the minister saying to us that the 100 persons that were being quote unquote allegedly sacked? Are they actually, to what degree have they affected the country then removing the National Election Commission that is supposed to conduct the election for the whole nation? Thank you.
All right, thank you. I don't think 100% were dismissed. I think 25, right?
So
Minister, you have just you have 1 minute. We have to go. Yeah.
The court made a mistake. The chairperson of the Elections Commission has not been removed. She was suspended. Following an investigation. The Board of Commissioners of the National Election Commission is in tight, and the same credibility with which they conducted the 2023 elections, I do believe that they will treat whatever by-election that is coming up in Nimba with similar urgency and credibility. So let's give people the time to do the work and start to impute opinions and predict wrong thing for our country. Like I said, election-hearing issues are very important, are very crucial to our democracy, and the government has no inclination, the government has no intention to tamper with the credibility of whatever election will be held in this country. Okay, the first quarter made a very important point. He's talking about our political adversary using propaganda to undermine the government. I tell you what, I was listening to one of the talk show last night, and they were discussing the fire incident at the Capitol building. So 2 suspects have been apprehended and sent forward to court. These quote-unquote opposition activists, they are on the show and they are not denying the involvement of these individuals in a arson attack against the Capitol building.
But they are saying because they are linked.
They are saying that these individuals are linked to the Ulster Speaker, and that the evidence that the government has in its possession to prosecute them were obtained illegally. So I was saying to myself, I say, somebody who is listening to the thing, do you know how many Liberians felt angry when the Capitol building was set ablaze, and that individuals who perpetrated a violent act against the public infrastructure of the country have been apprehended? Do you know how many Liberians are celebrating? And you go on the radio, all you say is that this person is being arrested because they're on the CDC, this person is arrested because sometimes certain propaganda do not work. But however, I take into consideration the fact that as a communication arm of the government, we have to be very effective. So that's why, let me just end by saying that we have a flagship program coming up, the government town hall. is the Ministry of Information own way of reaching out to every 73 district in the country, all the 73 districts. This program will be held in various locations across the country. We want to take government to the people.
That thing started during the Weah's administration.
Taking government to the people. I don't know.
Almost at the tail end of the government. But
I don't know whatever step the Ministry of Information in the past regime took to make it very vibrant. But we had now coming on board with innovation.
And you call it the government town hall.
The government town hall.
Okay.
Matthias, if the Ministry of Finance, for example, is driving the implementation of the Arrested General for Inclusive Development, the people have to be aware. That's the best way you can undermine negative propaganda, right? Because if you, for example, if the government is planting high quality solar light in a place at West Point, and somebody goes there and say, oh, the government is that, we just got to take the Minister of Public Works to West Point to speak to the people.
Okay.
To tell the people what the government is doing and how the government cares for them. So all that thing about negative propaganda, yeah, sometimes it works, but it doesn't work at all point in time. And we, as the drivers of government communication, we understand exactly that. And that's why we are putting into place the programs, the concept and everything to drive government communication in a way that we can be able to effectively bridge the gap between the government and the people.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. He's Deputy Minister for Public Affairs at the Ministry of Information, Minister Daniel Sando. My name is Matthias Labindi, and the program is produced by Markia Bayo. We'll be here again tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, we're going to be speaking to, I'm going to let you know during the course of the day, but we'll be here again in the morning with another fascinating edition of the program.